Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Dewan here with the Region Sports Network, and we are out at Crown Point High School for another episode of the 100-Yard Interview segment. And we are here with our first two-time guest of the series, Crown Point head coach Craig Buzea. Coach, day one for you guys officially today, from what I heard. Talk to me. How you doing? Of course, so far, getting ready for this part of the off season. But day one, obviously, always a fun time.
It always is, and it's a great day for Crown Point football. We started our youth camps today. This morning, just got finished with that. Had about 175 youth campers, grades K through 8, and then we got another week of youth camps. We got another 150 signed up there, and then we're starting our first our varsity freshman workouts today. Starts at 5 o'clock, so we're really excited, and for the first time that I've been around, we hit the 200 player mark in regards to freshmen up, and that's I'm sure it's been a long time since Crown Point football's had over 200 kids.
That's unbelievable. Coach, to kind of close the book on last season a little bit, obviously we talked about day one. We're looking at next year's team, but another successful team under your watch. Again, some more trophies. Duneland, of course, sectional, regional titles as well. What'd you learn from last year's squad? Obviously, a heartbreaking loss to Westville in that semi-state, but another very productive team here for Crown Point under your watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it was all said and done, I think we really maxed out that team. It's continually getting tougher and tougher. We've gone 3 years now without a loss, and in the regular season, and you start feeling like that's the standard. But it's a group that every time you get it that don't want to break the streak that we got going. And it's certainly not a slap in anyone's face to lose to go down there and lose to a team like Westfield. And we got them the year before, and all we heard about was they didn't travel very well. And by the time they got off the bus, we jumped on them, and we ended up winning in double overtime. Well, we sort of felt that same way. To get on a bus on a Friday and go down 2.5 hours and on a school day and try to play a football game. I think winning the semi-state on the road might be the hardest thing to do in Indiana football. It's very, very tough, and we'll be the first to tell you that we didn't play very well, but we got beat by a better team. There was no question about it. But still very, very proud of what our guys accomplished.
So in your eyes, how early do you close the book on that last season and get ready for next year? I remember taking from you from that ring ceremony we did a few years ago. You close the book pretty quickly and you kind of gear up. So when officially would you say is the date that marks, okay, well, let's get ready for 2025 in this case?
You as a coach, I think you turn it right away, right? But there's still some things you got to get done, and you want to make sure the players that you have a great send off. I think that's really what you want to do. Is terrific as a season it was. It still didn't end the way it did, but neither did the year before. And when that was just happened to be in Lucas Oil. So you want to make sure you get your kids a great send off. You want to make sure that you're doing everything in the recruiting process that you can to get them going to the next level if that's what they want to do. But as a coach, I mean, you're making mental notes and you're writing some things down. And hey, if we ever get to this point again, or hey, we didn't do this very well, hopefully do a little bit better the next time around.
And we talked about those numbers with your squad, obviously now north of kind of 200. But this last senior class, you talked about sending those kids away, giving them a proper send-off. You had a pretty solid senior class you had to send away, and obviously that kind of leads for room for growth for this next year's squad. So talk to me about what you're kind of seeing. Obviously, this is day one officially for you guys, but to kind of fill maybe those holes of, again, you got the Noah Ehrlichs, and you have Larry Ellison in your backfield, Szymborski as well, a couple two-way starters.
Yep.
Talk to me about, kind of maybe filling those holes, getting ready for 2025 with this year's squad.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's not what you're coming back, it's who you lost, and we lost some very, very fine football players, and you mentioned, just a couple of them, but there's a lot of the holes that we have to fill. To think that we have a kid like Noah Ehrlich or Larry Ellison waiting in the wings, is not realistic, but you just never know.
Sure.
You just never know until you get out in the field, and we feel like we got some really, really good young players coming up, and coming back. We got 6 really 3-year starters, which we've never had before. So I mean, when you can start lean on those guys a little bit, I think it's certainly beneficial. And we've had very, very successful JV groups that come around. I think we've lost one JV game in 5 years, so these kids know how to win. And for the first time, we brought up 14 freshmen. We've never even came close to that. So and we think a handful of those guys will make some hay on Friday nights.
Definitely.
And so we're looking forward to them. But a lot of holes to fill, but we feel like we got some good returning pieces.
Definitely, and one of those returning pieces we'll talk about as we kind of stay planted on this 50 as we usually do. This time last year we kind of talked about more the community, but we could stick it with kind of Crown Point football and how much that has grown. We had a fantastic, you guys put on a fantastic event for something that really happens at a school. That was Trevor Gibbs, his top 5. He had his top 5, of course, committed to Indiana University. Going to be a senior for you guys this year. Talk to me. He's going to be obviously one of those pieces for your guys come the fall. But to have a player of any sorts, obviously to choose between 5 huge Division I programs, and that was something that maybe would have been a pipe dream for Crown Point even a few years ago. To see that growth, obviously the players on the field, but also again the community that came out for him. It's got to be fun for you as a coach in year 5 now with the Crown Point Bulldogs.
I thought it was really important to do something like that, not only because it's Trevor, and Trevor's such a great kid, and he's earned everything that he's gotten. But we did it in front of one of our installs in the spring, which enabled our whole team to be there, and that included some of our current 8th graders. And I think those guys can look at what Trevor's done and say, hey, that could be me, right? Because it's never happened around here before, nothing like this, so I think that was really important to do, and then to have the community come out and to do it like we did. We got a lot of positive feedback for it, but for the most part, it was all for Trevor, and he's just a terrific kid, and we're glad we got one more year left with him.
For sure, can't wait to see what he could do this fall. Coach, moving along, outside of course the players you just talked about, one of the things that's very fascinating with what you've kind of assembled here now in year 5 is your coaching staff. From what I saw from multiple graphics, over 300 seasons of high school football on your coaching staff. I want to say it's north of 5 former head coaches now under your watch. How'd you do it? I mean, that is impressive, obviously, to get a bunch of guys together that they just know ball. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, number one, I think it pays to be old. And I've been around a long time. This would be year 42 for me coming up. And, I have a lot of connections and a lot of these guys I coached against, right? And so when an opportunity comes up and I see that, I sort of pounce on it and just give them the opportunity. Say, hey, this is something that we're building. You want to be part of it? We'd love to have you. And been very, very fortunate that a lot of them have hopped on the CP bandwagon,
Sure.
and they bring a lot of intelligence and know the game of football and know how it's and probably most importantly is for a head coach is to have former head coaches, because they know what you're going through, right? And the assistants sometimes don't, but you get former head coaches on, they know what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish and how you want to do it. So I think that's really, really important.
So that led me to my next point. Again, you got a lot of head coaches, which also kind of classified as alphas, if you will. You have a lot of different personalities, backgrounds. How is communication kind of in that process? Because you also have a very big coaching staff where obviously there's a lot of different minds going, hey, let's try this way, let's try this way. A lot of different opinions and voices to be heard. How is that process with a big coaching staff like you got?
And I think it's really important that they know when they come aboard, they're just not coming over as just an assistant coach, right? They're an equal, and all our coaches have a voice, and they all get that voice. And I don't want to hire yes men. I don't want to tell people they're just going to shake their head and agree with me. I get anybody to do that, right? So I bring people in from different backgrounds, wherever they are, and want to listen to what they're doing. We brought a couple new coaches in here. They've had some great ideas this off season. We're going to implement them, and I think that's really, really important. But everybody's got a voice, but at the end of the day, there's only one voice that's that has to take that on, and that's me. But until I make that decision or whatever it may be, I'm taking all their input, and I think it's the best for our program.
And alongside also a lot of coaches have to kind of buy into what Crown Point now stands for. Again, we have a lot of kids as well. Again, over, you said 200 plus. Along with coaches, they kind of have to wrangle up these kids in a way. So talk to me about the buying in process, not only maybe with the coaches, the new coaches coming on, but also some kids that, hey, are still young in the system. They have to kind of, grasp onto these coaches that are also learning that standard.
Sure.
and get ready to go and get acclimated to what we're trying to do here?
Yeah, I give a lot of autonomy to our assistant coaches, and their number one job is to build relationships with the players in their position group, and I allow that to happen. I want that to happen, and I think that's a big part of it, because when you're dealing with so many kids, we'll have close to 120 kids tonight on the football field. It's, first of all, it's a lot of kids on one field. We got to figure out how to get all these moving pieces on one field, but everybody's got to be on the same page. And I think it's really, really important that those relationships are formed, and our players at any time can reach out to those the coaches that are not only instruct them on the field, but feel like they can really reach out to them off the field as well.
That's what coaches are for, right?
Absolutely.
So you already know. So you know what time it is? Red zone. So now we got some more rapid fire for you, Coach.
Let's
get to it. Coach, if you had a walkout song, you walk out onto the field, they're playing it, one song to choose from, what would it be? You can go band. I know a song might be tough, but if you have a favorite band, maybe we could shuffle the playlist for you.
I don't know. It's hard to I just got back from seeing Kenny Chesney in the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Right? So I can't get the only thing I hear in my head right now is Kenny Chesney's song, so it's got to be something, one of those. I'm not, maybe Summertime or anything like that, but I know that's probably a little bit off, but right now that's all I hear in my head is Kenny Chesney. So,
Kenny Chesney it is, Coach. Second favorite sport. We'll say football maybe is your first, unless I'm wrong, but if you had a second favorite sport, what would it be?
I know a lot of people don't know, but my first head coaching gig was a head basketball job. So at 21 years old, I was a head basketball coach at Elkhart Lake High School up in Wisconsin. So, I did that. I coached 10 years of baseball, as well. But I'll tell you what might be the best gig, and I've never had a chance to do it, but I like to play a lot of golf. And I think just being a golf coach might be the best thing, right? You get to go out, you get to go, whatever you get to do, practice, go out, golf, and tell your guys, we'll see you when you get back. That might be the best gig. I might be checking that out in a couple of years.
Still got time. That's awesome. Okay, who's your favorite basketball player growing up then, maybe?
There's no question. MJ is the guy. Yeah, not even, don't even think about it.
Favorite sport? Let's go 2 or 3 favorite sports teams, professional, college. Who would you say?
Yeah, I gotta stick with the Bears.
We're struggling.
But I grew up a Bears, Cubs fan. There's some others, that I follow, but really those 2 are the teams that I really watch the most.
Love it. What does a game day look like? Any superstitions? Pre-game meal?
Yeah.
Anything got to be? Are you superstitious?
Well, whatever I eat on the first game, if we win, I stick with it. Last 3 years we've won. So whatever I eat the first, I'm eating week 13. So last year, believe it or not, the first Friday I had Culver's, and a lot of people don't realize this, but Culver's has unbelievable fried shrimp. Right. That's really? Exactly what I thought. Really? But my good friend and colleague, offensive line coach Tom Cicero, turned me on to it about 5 years ago. I didn't believe it, but last year, first game, I had fried shrimp, and the only game that I did not have fried shrimp last year on game day was the Westfield game. Figure it out.
There you go.
And it's because of our time and our change. So
sure.
Whatever you want to do, you could blame it on anything you want, but I'm blaming it on that I didn't get to have shrimp on that
shrimp.
Friday. That's correct.
Looks like me and Zach Miller, our cameraman, got a place to go
on the way out, and don't forget the raspberry shake.
The raspberry shake. Yep. Interesting,
yep.
Coach. Well, as we kind of cross the goal line, as we finish this out, we got some games to play come the fall. This rendition of the Crown Point team, some new faces, obviously on maybe the offensive and defensive side of the ball. But you mentioned some young pieces coming up and some 3-year starters. But Coach, to kind of recap this team heading into the fall, what are we going to expect from this Bulldog squad?
Well, hopefully you're going to see a lot of what we've had to see in the last 3 years. But you just never know how it's going to fall into place, right? That's why we're so excited in the summer, and I think. Most of our guys understand the expectation. They understand the standard that we're trying to live by. Hopefully, understand how hard it is to do what we've done in the past, and we're gonna find out. But our guys are excited. Our guys have tremendous job in the weight room with Coach Garrett in the off season, and most of them are bigger and stronger and faster, and it's going to be interesting. But I tell our coaches, our coaching staff, that we have the right pieces. We just have to find where they fit in the puzzle, and so we're going to have to do some things. And we got an unbelievable summer schedule. We're going to get a lot of top teams from, Illinois and a couple from Indiana here. And I think by the time we finish up in July, we'll have a good indication of, how this team is going to be. But, the one thing that we always talk about as coaches is we have never had to prepare a football team in the last 3 years for the next game. Our players have never had to sit down with us and play the next week, because the next week has always been the end of the season. So if in fact that we find, we stumble and we lose, it'll be the first time that our staff is going to have to sit down with our team and get ready for a week the next game after a loss. So, that might be something that we'll have to face as well.
But hey, we can only wait and see when the fall comes around.
Absolutely.
But, Coach, thank you again for letting us come out. Our first two-time guest for Coach Craig Buzea. I'm Mike Dewan with the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.